Some of some of his associates, I still want to strangle them.
The way Sean says they were best friends after he was dead, nah, I didn't see that during the time we were working with him.
Rap about it, and that's one of the bad things about the game is when you get large, even your friends will turn against you, man.
He was supposed to be Biggie's biggest supporter, but behind the scenes, the notorious Big and Sean Diddy Combs had a much darker relationship. Did Biggie hate Diddy? Apparently Biggie's mom seems to think so, as she had this to say about the man she now calls a trash friend.
Some of some of his associates, I still want to strangle them.
It appears there are now new revelations from Biggie's mom that tell the full story, and it's clear that Biggie was far from happy with his so-called friend Diddy.
Rap about it, and that's one of the bad things about the game is when you get large, even your friends will turn against you, man.
Biggie Smalls, one of hip-hop's greatest legends, had an impact on the music industry. But as we continue to unravel the truth, it seems his relationship with Sean Diddy Combs wasn't what the public was led to believe.
The way Sean says they were best friends after he was dead, nah, I didn't see that during the time we were working with him.
For years, theories have circulated about who was really responsible for Biggie Smalls' tragic M in 1997, and now new evidence has surfaced. The details are chilling. Newly unearthed documents reveal that Diddy may have orchestrated a plot to eliminate Biggie, linking the M to the ongoing East Coast-West Coast feud that shook the entire hip-hop community. But why would Diddy want to harm one of his own biggest stars? Sources suggest it was rooted in fear, paranoia, and greed. The FBI has connected dots that implicate Diddy in what some are calling an insurance policy move after Tupac's death. The theory, Diddy believed that if he didn't act fast, someone else would retaliate against him.
He had no business in LA at that time. We all knew that. Why would Puff rent studio time? Come on, man, look. You gotta look at what people do, man.
This statement from Gene Deal, Diddy's former bodyguard, is one of the most damning pieces of evidence. Gene, who was close to the situation in the 90s, has spoken out multiple times, claiming that Diddy knew something was about to go down. In any case, Biggie's mother, Voletta Wallace, has made her feelings about Diddy crystal clear. Over the years, she shared her grief, anger, and disappointment with the world, but recent events have reignited her fury. Voletta confessed that she had always felt an irresistible urge to strangle Biggie's associates. Yes, you heard it right. This feisty mama bear didn't hold back when it came to expressing her deep-seated frustrations.
Some of some of his associates, I still want to strangle them.
Voletta Wallace also spoke about how she believed Diddy used her son for his personal gains. In her book titled Biggie, Voletta says, "I'm glad my son does not have to witness that the very people that he thought he could ride and die with wouldn't think twice about using his mother. I am glad that he's not here to see how they have used his image and his name. I believe Sean loved my son. After he was dead, I used to tell Christopher all the time not to trust Sean." What's more, Voletta also wrote about how much money he received when he signed on with the label. The truth is, Christopher accepted the illusion of a friend and mentor for about $25,000. That's the amount Puffy lured my son with. That was a lot of money for Christopher back then, as a 19-year-old. He had never seen that much at one time in his life. Wallace wrote, "It was enough money to make my son believe that Puffy was ready to do anything for him. It was enough to buy a blind love and loyalty." In addition to this, Biggie's mom has criticized how the investigation of her son's M has been handled over the years, and with good reason. In an interview with the Daily Mail, Voletta said that she hurts every single day knowing that she will never see her son again and that his takedown agent is still at large. The matriarch of hip-hop revealed that she and LAPD detectives investigating the M know who is responsible for her son's death, but a conspiracy prevents the case from ever being solved. "I have a very good idea who took down Christopher, and I genuinely believe that the LAPD know exactly who did too," she said. "They've done their investigation, but they just refuse to move forward. I don't know why they haven't arrested who was involved. It seems to me that it's one giant conspiracy, and someone is definitely being protected somewhere down the line. There's no closure for me until that Emmer is behind bars and sentenced." In addition to the star's mother, Biggie's wife Faith Evans has also made claims of her own.
Well, we know he was, but we believe that the LAPD knows who's responsible.
To add on to this, Diddy's former bodyguard Gene Deal also talked about how much Biggie hated Diddy. In an interview, Gene said that Biggie and Diddy weren't as close as Diddy portrays, and that Biggie was aware that Diddy was robbing him.
Puff had robbed Big, and Big was robbing Puff.
Gene also revealed that Biggie was planning on getting his publishing rights back from Diddy. He claimed that the late rapper had made moves to leave Bad Boy for a lucrative deal worth more than $60 million. Deal said he saw Biggie's Bad Boy contract when he had to watch over Diddy's briefcase during a flight. It outlined Big's earnings in increments of $250,000, but left publishing income in Puff's possession. When he asked Biggie about it, the rapper allegedly told him about his new deal and all the money he'd make. He showed me. It had Charli Baltimore, Cameron, Lil Cease, Lil Kim, Junior Mafia, Tracy Lee, and the commission, he explained. I think the contract was for so many years for like $62 million. It comes out to $62 million. In a separate interview, Gene revealed that Diddy lied to Biggie's mother about not knowing him because he knew that Gene would expose him and reveal what happened on the night of Biggie's death.
So he didn't tell Ms. Wallace because he knew I wasn't going to lie to Big's mama. He knew I was going to tell Ms. Wallace everything that happened.
What's more, Gene Deal dropped some major bombshells about the night Biggie was tragically taken down, and it's enough to make anyone stop and think. According to Gene, Miss Wallace, Biggie's mom, had reached out to Diddy asking about Gene, but Diddy quickly denied even knowing him. Why would he do that? Well, Gene suspects Diddy was worried that he might spill all the details of what really happened on the night Biggie lost his life. Gene didn't hold back in revealing some pretty suspicious details about that night. He claimed that Biggie's car had been marked with a bunch of stickers. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Those cars, including Biggie's, were rented, and putting stickers on them was totally against the rental policy. But who would break the rules like that? Gene suggested it was none other than a street team hired by Bad Boy Records, the label Diddy owned. It sounds wild, right? But Gene wasn't done yet. He claimed that this street team had access to the cars and might have been behind those stickers. Could they have been more than just decorations? Could they have been some sort of warning or signal? The idea is chilling, especially since Diddy's car, unlike Biggie's, was completely sticker-free. Gene didn't stop there. He also talked about how, despite the ongoing East Coast-West Coast feud in the rap world, Diddy didn't bother beefing up security for Biggie that night.
We needed more security. We needed more like-minded men like myself out there.
It's a shocking accusation, especially given the dangerous climate of the time. Gene hinted that this wasn't just negligence, it was something far more sinister. To add to the mystery, Gene claimed that there was someone else involved who was working with Diddy to orchestrate the attack. According to him, he even warned one of Biggie's crew members, D-Rock, to avoid following Diddy's route. D-Rock seemed to take Gene's advice seriously at first, even promising to stay away. But in a bizarre twist, D-Rock led Biggie straight to the Peterson Museum, where the after-party would be his last. The story takes another wild turn when Gene suggested that D-Rock didn't act alone. He believes that Diddy had a hand in convincing D-Rock to betray his word. And here's where things get really juicy. Gene backed up his claims by sharing a revelation from Kirk Burrows, who said that Biggie was supposed to fly to London with him. But at the last minute, D-Rock persuaded Biggie to skip London and go to that infamous party instead. It's the kind of thing that leaves you wondering what really went down behind the scenes. Of course, Gene's statements are controversial, to say the least. While they're definitely eye-opening, they don't carry any legal weight. At least, not yet. Still, Gene has a lot more to say, and he's been revealing some shocking details for years. One of the biggest revelations? Even though Biggie had a security team of 7 or 8 people, most of them were unarmed. Can you imagine that? In the middle of such a dangerous time, Biggie's team wasn't even armed to protect him properly. So why, you might ask, would Biggie's security team be unarmed? Gene says it all comes down to orders from the top, and it's no secret who was calling the shots: Diddy. It's a baffling decision, especially when you consider how vulnerable Biggie was. He wasn't in great health and couldn't run or defend himself if things went south. The lack of proper security just doesn't add up. Gene didn't mince words when he shared his thoughts about Diddy. He believes Diddy never really cared about Biggie as a person, only as a money-making talent. In Gene's eyes, Diddy signed Biggie to his label because he knew Biggie would make him successful. But when it came to actually looking out for Biggie's safety, Diddy wasn't interested. Gene Deal isn't the only one who has spoken out about the suspicious circumstances surrounding Biggie's death. MC8, a respected voice in the hip-hop world, has questioned the widely accepted narrative that Biggie's unalivement was a direct result of Tupac Shakur's accusations. MC8 believes Biggie's death was a premeditated setup rather than a consequence of Tupac's claims. At the heart of this discussion is Tupac's belief that Biggie knew about the 1994 Quad studio shooting but didn't warn him. While Tupac never outright accused Biggie of setting him up, he implied that Biggie had knowledge of the attack. According to MC8, this accusation set off a chain reaction that ultimately led to Biggie's unalivement. But the question remains, did people really believe that Biggie had set Tupac up? MC8 and many others find this theory hard to believe. It seems unlikely that Biggie would have stayed silent if he knew about such a serious plot. The rivalry between Death Row and Bad Boy Records, representing the West and East Coasts, respectively, was already at its peak. This feud fueled the tension that surrounded both Tupac and Biggie. MC8 raised an important point. Would Biggie still be alive if this conflict between the two labels hadn't existed? According to him, the rivalry played a significant role in Biggie's death, and the animosity between the two sides overshadowed any direct accusations involving Tupac. MC8 argued that Biggie's unalivement wasn't a random act but a calculated move. Biggie had traveled to Los Angeles to promote his music, and it was during this trip that he lost his life. MC8 emphasized that Biggie's decision to visit LA at such a tense time was a major mistake. He questioned whether Biggie would still be alive if he hadn't made that trip.
Me being Biggie, would I have came to LA knowing Pac died and that animosity and the death row and beef was still going on? I would have never jumped on that motherfucking plane.
Another voice in the conversation is Spice One, who shared his thoughts in a recent interview. Spice One was in Los Angeles during the time of Biggie's visit, and he vividly recalls the tension that hung in the air. According to him, it was widely known that Biggie's life was in danger when he decided to visit LA. Spice One remembers preparing for a night out with a friend named Rat, who was connected to some prominent West Coast figures. However, before they could go out, warnings started circulating that Biggie shouldn't be in LA at that time. Spice One had already been feeling uneasy about Biggie's visit, as emotions were still high following Tupac's death. The city was on edge, and many people foresaw the danger that Biggie's presence might bring. Spice One explained that Biggie underestimated the loyalty and love that Tupac commanded in California. Even though Biggie had a major presence in the hip-hop world, Spice One felt that Biggie didn't fully grasp how deeply people in LA were affected by Tupac's death. According to Spice One, some West Coast residents may have even warned Biggie not to visit LA during this volatile time. Fans have also questioned Diddy's decision to send Biggie to Los Angeles so soon after Tupac's unalivement. With the city still mourning Tupac's death, it didn't seem like a wise move for Biggie to be there. This decision only adds to the list of concerns surrounding the events leading up to Biggie's death. In any case, it looks like Diddy's luck has finally run out. Everything started to fall apart for him last year when his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, came forward with some serious allegations, accusing him of SA. While Diddy tried to settle the lawsuit quickly and quietly, this case was like opening Pandora's box. It didn't end with Cassie's accusations, it just began. Now, hundreds of people are speaking out, claiming Diddy assaulted them too. So far, 120 individuals have filed lawsuits against him. But the moment that really stunned everyone was when CNN released security footage from a hotel, showing Diddy physically hitting Cassie. This footage shook the public and made it harder for Diddy to dismiss the claims as just rumors or exaggerations. Biggie's mother, Voletta Wallace, was one of the many people horrified by these revelations. "I'm sick to my stomach," she said when talking about the mounting accusations of violence and SA against Diddy. She expressed sympathy for Cassie, adding, "I'm praying for Cassie. I'm praying for Diddy's mother. I don't want to believe the things that I've heard, but I've seen the hotel video. I pray that he apologizes to her." Wallace didn't hold back her emotions when talking about Diddy. She admitted that while she once liked him, she's now filled with shame and disappointment over his actions. "I hope that I see Sean one day, and the only thing I want to do is slap the daylights out of him, and you can quote me on that," she said. Her words reflect the anger and betrayal felt by many who once admired Diddy, as the man who was once a music mogul and cultural icon has now become a figure shrouded in scandal. These recent events led to an even deeper look into Diddy's past, with disturbing stories of misconduct going back to his days at Howard University in the late 1980s. Rolling Stone conducted an investigation into Diddy's pattern of behavior, documenting claims from former Bad Boy Records staff and others in the industry. Many of them said that Diddy's tendencies weren't anything new and had been a part of his personality long before he became the household name he is today. One source of tension during Diddy's early career was his relationship with Biggie. According to those who worked closely with them, Biggie was starting to see his label boss as little more than a corny executive. Just before Biggie was offed in 1997, he was reportedly considering leaving Bad Boy Records to branch out on his own. It's been said that Diddy used Biggie's death to further his own career, pushing hard to make Biggie's album Life After Death a massive commercial success. There were even discussions about putting Biggie on the cover of Rolling Stone, but Diddy supposedly shut those talks down, insisting that he should be on the cover instead.
Puff advocated and said that if I own the marketing and I own the publishing, what could they do?
Biggie's mother has always been dedicated to preserving her son's legacy, and now she's speaking out about Diddy's actions. She believes that Diddy owes an apology, not just to Cassie, but to his own mother as well. He needs to apologize to his mother, she said. I hope to God he sits her down, spills his guts, and apologizes to her. In addition to these personal calls for Diddy to face the consequences of his actions, he's also dealing with legal trouble. Earlier this year, Homeland Security agents raided his homes in Miami and Los Angeles as part of an ongoing federal investigation into STFing. Witnesses were reportedly interviewed by investigators, and in March, several individuals were informed that they might have to testify before a grand jury in New York. With the legal pressure mounting, Diddy has been keeping a low profile. When asked about the looming investigation and the 6 active SA lawsuits against Diddy, Voletta Wallace kept her response brief but powerful. I leave it to time. These strong words have shocked the hip-hop world. But for those who knew Biggie and Diddy's relationship, it comes as no surprise. Diddy's betrayal of Biggie is now coming to light, and Voletta's powerful words serve as a reminder of the pain her family has endured since her son's death. So what would Biggie's career have looked like without Diddy? It's a question that haunts the hip-hop community to this day. With his undeniable talent and vision, Biggie had the potential to become one of the greatest independent artists of all time. But sadly, he never had the chance to break free from Diddy's control. Anyway, that's it for this video, folks. Bye.